You continue saying yes when you mean no, responding to messages that bother you, participating in empty conversations, and maintaining relationships that only exist out of inertia. Awareness without action is just another form of self-deception. True transformation begins when you firmly decide to become selective. And this requires emotional discipline. Conscious unavailability is not about being cold, arrogant, or indifferent. It's about no longer being accessible to anyone, at any time, for any reason. It's about taking control of your own energy, your own time, your own peace. And this starts with small actions, not responding immediately, breathing before reacting, leaving a discussion before being dragged into chaos, turning off your phone without guilt, saying, "Not today," saying, "I'm not interested," saying, "I won't get involved." But here's the most important part. You don't need to justify your absence. You don't need to explain your silence. You owe nothing to anyone but yourself. And this, for many people, is unforgivable. Because when you refuse to explain yourself, you take away the other person's power to keep you within an emotional narrative where you are always the helpful, understanding, accessible one. Carl Jung understood that every process of individuation goes through isolation. But not a depressive isolation, a sacred isolation, a time of inner retreat where you relearn to listen to your own voice without the world's interference, where you rebuild your identity not based on the gaze of others, but from your own center. Want to know a good thermometer for your evolution? Observe who starts to distance themselves from you when you become more reserved. Observe who tries to provoke you when you stop reacting. Observe who accuses you of having changed when you finally start to protect yourself. These are not signs that you are wrong. They are proof that you have begun to free yourself. Being unavailable is uncomfortable at first. You will feel guilty. You will think you are being selfish. You will hear that you are being too harsh. But this is part of the deconstruction process. You have spent your life being conditioned to put yourself second. It's natural that change causes discomfort, not only in you, but in everyone who benefited from your old version. Conscious unavailability is the foundation of self-determination. When you say no to the world, you are saying yes to yourself. When you withdraw from a toxic environment, you are reaffirming that your peace is worth more than any false connection. And when you stop explaining yourself, you begin to be respected, even if it's by few. But not everyone is ready for this type of presence, because your emotional absence will expose wounds they do not want to face. It will reveal how much they depended on your emotional chaos to feel in control. And it is at this moment that the rupture comes. And with the rupture comes the pain, the loneliness, the estrangement, the feeling that you are losing something, when in fact you are just freeing yourself. But what happens after that? What comes after the distancing? What is born from the silence? In the last part, we will talk about this, about the rebirth that only happens when you have the courage to be misunderstood, to be alone, and to become whole on your own. It's time to understand why the loneliness of the strong is the path to true freedom. When you stop being available to everyone, something profound begins to happen. First comes the silence, an uncomfortable silence that seems to scream inside you. You wonder if you did the right thing, if you are being too harsh, if you are losing people who liked you. But gradually, this silence transforms. It begins to cleanse, to calm, to heal. And then comes solitude, but not the solitude of absence. It is the solitude of total presence, your own. The solitude of the strong. The solitude of one who no longer betrays themselves to keep others close. And in that space, where there was once confusion, clarity enters. Where there was once anxiety, peace enters. Where there was once neediness, a new kind of strength enters. The strength of being whole within yourself. Carl Jung said that the process of individuation, becoming who you really are, requires you to distance yourself from the collective, that you disidentify from the mask, that you walk alone for a while. And that is exactly what you are doing when you decide to become unavailable. You are not fleeing the world. You are returning to yourself. It is at this point that you stop being a reactor and become a creator. You cease to be shaped by circumstances and begin to shape your reality from within. The people who feel uncomfortable with your absence, they reveal that they never wanted you. They wanted the role you played. And now that you no longer fit, they don't know what to do with you. And that is liberating. You will lose people, but you will find yourself. You will distance yourself from places, but you will reconnect with your essence. You will become misunderstood, but finally, you will begin to be respected. Because when you are no longer available for anything, you become valuable, rare, unforgettable. And don't be fooled, this is a rebirth, a new beginning, the start of a life where you are no longer available for emotional crumbs, for mind games, for voids disguised as affection. Now you only accept what resonates with your peace, with your truth, with your wholeness. And if you have made it this far, it's because a part of you is already ready for this new path. A part of you has already understood that being loved means nothing if, for that, you have to abandon yourself. And that true self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it costs you to be alone for a while. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even hated in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price of being you? If this message touched you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I choose my peace. Let's see how many here are ready for this transition. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine. See you there.